that part really did hit different.
That made me cry, dude.
I had no clue what to do. I thought it was like one of those days, like, oh, you just get baptized.
I got no money. I'm broke, basically. I run out for my credit cards. They even look closed. They're closed credit cards. I can't pay this stuff out. And this woman, what I was living with his friends and my cousin by this time now, this will be my last time, what I will say. She kicked us out because she never paid the mortgage. We were paying like about $2,000 like back 5-7 years ago. She didn't pay 1 cent of 2 years to the mortgage. And basically the bank took the house and gave us 24 hours to evacuate the house. Guess what? I didn't have anywhere to go. Did I broke down crying? Did I went crazy? No, I was like, God, thank you. And you know what? It is what it is. I don't mind it. God, I gave my life to you. You got my back.
And it's crazy because I wish I could, like, I don't know if you guys ever think like this, but I think like this, like, yo, like, I wish I could go back to like how I was when I first started. Like, literally the day before like maybe an hour before I went to youth group, and I could see myself, and I see, like, we're both looking at each other. I'm like, you're gonna change. Your life is gonna change.
You suffer that day. Suffer well. Suffer with love. Accept suffering as
another gift.
As another gift. As a hug from God.
She really didn't want to go to the youth group. You know, she didn't want to go because, you know, her mom was like, oh, you got to go, please go. You know, and then she went with Andres.
Shout out Andres.
Yeah, shout out
her brother.
Another good friend of ours. And then after 2 hours passed, I was like waiting for her phone call. And I remember I was at my house, laying on my bed, and all I see is like Lorene phone calls from her, spamming me. She's like, "You're going next."
That's the first night that she went to the youth group.
Yeah, first night.
CATHOLIT Ministry.
First night.
It was literally a miracle, because I didn't decide to stop it. He just like, hey, this is what you're doing. It's basically like, I like to say like illumination of conscience.
Yeah.
He showed me exactly what I was doing, even though I was not looking to stop doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and that's a beautiful grace.
So I broke down crying like a baby for a whole hour, the whole drive. That's what I noticed. You see, it took one person to truly love me, to tell me the truth to my face. That's why I love to live in the truth and live by the truth.
Maximilian Kolbe, he was big in his time. I really didn't know that, but when I did more research into Maximilian Kolbe, bro, this guy had like printing presses running 24/6 a week. In his friar, he was beginning to build one of the biggest Franciscan friars in the world. He was, you know how Mother Teresa was like booming in India at that was Maximilian Kolbe. And he was running night shifts just to do the printing press, just for Our Lady. And he was grinding it out, working. So one day the Nazis came and destroyed all of it. Imagine right now, like, some evil dictator or the Nazis come in and they destroy our whole setup. How will I be? How would I imagine Maximilian Kolbe with everything he built? And guess what he said? He said, "Yes, Mary." I'm like, wow.
Dude, that's the attitude.
Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Welcome back to another episode of Serviam Podcast. As I said, this podcast will be to share the love and the joy, the experience of being a Christian or anything to spread and promote the love of God. Today, I have two of my beautiful, amazing friends, close friends of mine. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hey, what's up, brothers and sisters over here from Serviam Studios. I'm Edwin Moline, founder of CATHOLIT Ministry.
Hello. My name is John Almonte. I'm a consistent coach for Matter Lakes Academy Water Polo. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. He also he was in the X's90 video, so if y'all recognize him, that's why we did X's90 together. And so I was supposed to say this beforehand, but why don't we start with a bit of cheers? Cheers to this beautiful day, this new year, to the new joys I got to bring. It's spilled, but it's fine. Oh, he got it with the napkin. Cafecito. Hopefully I could always bring cafecito to the guests. You know, we know as Hialeah Cuban. So, guys, I always like to ask people, what daily quote? I already did, but I'll say now. Either Mother Teresa or Fulton Sheen. And you guys said?
Fulton Sheen.
So let's read today's daily quote. And it makes sense because Fulton Sheen did this before anybody, really. He was the biggest back then. So today is, at the time of this recording, is February 6th. Oh, it's a big one. Fulton Sheen says, and then later I invite you guys to reflect. You cannot always depend on prayers to be answered the way you want them answered, but you can always depend on God. God, the loving Father, often denies us those things in which the end would prove harmful to us. Every boy wants a revolver at age 4, and no father yet has ever granted that request. Why should we think God is less wise? Someday, we will thank God not only for what He gave us, but also for that which He refused. Fulton J. Sheen. That was a good one. What y'all had to say? I love that.
Go ahead, my boy John.
No, go first.
I don't know, like when ever since I was like baptized and I got into the faith, every time like I hear something like a quote or when somebody talks about God, it's not that it takes time for me like to like acknowledge it, but you know I want to make sure like sometimes I get lost in it and sometimes I don't. Like right there in midway through the quote of the day, I got a little lost on it. It's like I started thinking a lot. But in the beginning, how he said, the prayers, how your prayers, like when you pray, the way that you ask God to I forgot how it goes. The request you make to God, it doesn't go how you want it, because you know God works in mysterious ways, and you know to this day it still happens, and it happens to everybody, not just us, but to all of our fellow Christians out there. And that's pretty much what I got from it. You know, that part hit different than the rest of the quote. Like there's always when somebody tells me something, or like when Edwin talks to me about God, or when you talk to me about God, there's always that one part of the conversation that just like it feels like I'm talking to like Jesus
himself.
Like, yeah.
Oh.
Through you guys, and I'm like,
wow.
Like it's that part really did hit different.
That made me cry, dude. All right, so.
Wow, we're already getting emotional. Here we go.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's
For those that don't know, real quick, that's his godfather.
Oh yeah, I'm his godfather.
We'll explain that later. We'll explain that.
That's amazing. That's so cool. You're the oldest godson that I got, by the way. All right, guys. I'm not that old. I'm only 26, but I want to chime in right to the quote of the day. I could. Oh my goodness. I don't know. I mean, it's beautiful. Because I'm such a big proponent, or preacher, let's say, about that same understanding about our lives and our prayer life. Because there's one thing that one specific saint made it so clear. St. Alphonsus Liguori. He said that uniformity with God's will is what every person, every Christian, every Catholic should obtain to get to, because that's where you would truly live in a saintly life. Which means is that not whatever I wish for my life is what is good for me, or whatever He wills is what I wish and will too. Right? So obviously, with that, God is not saying, hey, do not ask, right? Because Jesus said, knock and doors will be open, ask and you will receive, right? But at the end of the day, the heart has to get to a place where it's appeased and in the same motion of Jesus, of God, of His will. Because at the end of the day, living out His will is the only way we're going to be able to get to heaven, the easiest path. Well, guess what? We got all the vices, we got our dreams that most likely, obviously, vices are, against God, basically, right? But those dreams, we got so many dreams that sometimes we're so stuck into that, we cannot see past it, and that's why he says, Futushin says, we don't know that right now is bad, but at the end we know thank God he saved us from that great tragedy or whatever. And the whole point of it is that, sometimes we're like, okay, how can I discern what is that God want for my life? And so many people will go so philosophical, be like, you gotta pray and you gotta do all this stuff, and then you gotta understand that the road goes about this way, and yes, economic issues, this and that. You need to get married by 25. You need to have kids by 26. There's so many things going on. But let me tell you, each life is different. Each life is unique, and to know that you're doing God's will, live every day as it is every day. It is your last day. Your past is gone. Don't think about it twice. Learn from your mistakes, sure. Grow in virtues, sure. Moving forward, yes, it's good to plan. I mean, I got a lot of stuff in my plate. I do a lot of projects. I plan, but when let's say I say tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go to work, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to read the Bible, then I'm going to pray the rosary, and then I'm going to work on some projects. But let's say something happened. You call me, an accident happened, God forbid, an accident happened to you, or something extraordinary happened that changed my outcome of what I had planned. What am I about to say? What was the will of God? At the end of the day, it's living what's in front of you at the maximum.
Yes, Mary. Yes,
and
God.
that's where you'll be able to truly be happy and have a sense of a life be fulfilled. They are two extremes of mentalities. The one that is always in the past, which we can connect it to depression, right?
Right.
And the one that is always in the future.
Anxiety.
Which is connected to anxiety. Who defines what's the present?
God.
Happiness,
Oh, yeah.
joy, peace, enjoyment. And by the way, when I'm saying enjoyment, is that when you suffer that day, suffer well, suffer with love, accept suffering as
another gift.
as another gift, as a hug from God. That sounds so ridiculous,
Yeah.
but it's so deep and so beautiful, because at the end of the day, that whatever suffering God allowed in your life, which has to do with doing God's will, has to do with accepting today's reality of your life, is saying to you, you need this for your purification, because I want you to get closer to me.
Amen.
You know what I mean? So I don't want to send them. I could go for hours.
Yeah, that we can have a whole theological discussion on that. Don't lie. I love that quote because I think it goes to everybody watching here. Yesterday, I just finished my Marian consecration, renewal with Gabby Attar, so shout out to him. And then he even shared how covers suffering, and how it's part of our lives, and suffering is another gift. Even me saying that right now was like, oh wait, wow. And there's a reason why that mug has a heart, and I guess you could picture like that heart, suffering and the gifts, the taking and the giving, right? There's two parts, and God is like that. I just Diddy just thought of that, and it's such a good reflection. And Maximilian Kolbe, he was big in his time. I really didn't know that, but when I did more research into Maximilian Kolbe, bro, this guy had printing presses running 24/6 a week. And his friar, he was beginning to build one of the biggest Franciscan friars in the world. He was, you know how Mother Teresa was booming in India at that? That was Maximilian Kolbe. And he was running night shifts just to do the printing press, just for Our Lady. And he was grinding it out, working. So one day the Nazis came and destroyed all of it. Imagine right now, some evil dictator or the Nazis come in and they destroy our whole setup. How will I be? How would I imagine Maximilian Kolbe with everything he built? And guess what he said? He said, "Yes, Mary." I'm like, wow.
That's the attitude. That is the response of someone that is deeply
unity in God's will. And when you put that, this is why I love, by the way, once again, Catholic Ministry is an amazing YouTube channel and platform. And I started seeing that series, which I hope it's going good, that series, which is Suffering with the Saints, no?
Yeah.
Suffering with the Saints.
Yeah.
And the first one was St. Francis going Unity. Yeah. And I was like, even him reading it, I was like, wow, well, I didn't even know that. Because I read a lot of Divine Will, Luisa Picarreta. Hours of the Passion, right?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't suggest it.
Oh, well, that's okay. There's some weird parts, but the Hours of the Passion is what's up. The Hours of the Passion are amazing.
I suggest better not to say anything. You brought me to your podcast. I gotta be honest.
No, yeah.
I gotta be like here, hypocrite, and then go into much and be like, that's my recommendations. My recommendations when it comes to the Passion of Christ are like things that happen that are not in the Bible.
And characters.
Anna Catalina.
I read that in the seminary.
She is the OG. She is the one that never has been forbidden from the church to be read. While Luisa Picareta was put into the blacklist of Catholic books back in the 1950s.
Yeah, there's some weird. Yeah, and there is some weird stuff.
That's not the whole point. The whole point is that I suggest to everybody, this book is only 40 pages. It's about $5. Go to Time Books or Google it. Uniformity with God's Will by San Alfonso de Gori. Trust me, it will transform your life. And let me tell you, I only had to read it once to really just like stick to me.
And it's 40 pages, bro. That's not even that. That's like less than the book I'm reading right now.
I read that thing like literally in a week.
Wow.
Every 5 minutes a day or something like that.
10 pages a day.
I gotta tell you, sometimes, and I don't know what's your, it could be more males, could be more females. I don't know, because males are more.
Well, I've seen this statistically. Of course, it's more males in the United States. Older than 20s, kind of 20s. If you're female, welcome. Or if you're Gabby, hi again.
But the whole fact is that what I want to say is I don't want to talk too much, but it's just like a two-side. I'm sorry. Is that women are more emotional by majority. I'm not saying like every woman, that's it. Like, I'm not generalization. There's some women that are a little bit different, but they're not the norm. The norm is women are more emotional, men are more of reason, logic, right?
They lean more on reason, and women lean more on emotion.
So when you read this book, it's pure emotional understanding and reasons driven.
Yeah, I've read.
Because remember, we shouldn't be driven by emotions because demons can tap into our emotions, and we can be definitely deceived by our emotions and make us think and feel things that are not from God. Whereas the logic is strictly should be formed by the divine positive will of God, which we can see through the Holy Bible and also the magisterium of the church. When you prepare your mind with that, when you live out that right through the logic, most of the times you're not gonna fall into loopholes and whatnot.
Yes, 100%. And I read Anna Catherine Amherst, and literally, I was a seminary retreat in the seminary, and it was literally the Holy Week. So Holy Wednesday to Monday we were there, Monday morning, and I was on Thursday. I picked up the book. I was like, I want to read this, and I was literally up because the prior year in 2020 we were up on night. It was easier. We were in quarantine.
Yeah.
But then that day I was already with the seminary. I was already like doing all the what I was doing, and I was falling asleep. But I was reading. It was so wow, and something powerful just to reflect.
What book did you read from her?
It was the Passion. There was Passion of Christ.
I cried reading that book.
I love the fact that she compared when they arrest Jesus and took him to the, I don't know, it was Caiaphas or Annas, one of the chief Jew. I know he's not a saint, so I don't remember his name.
This guy.
But they took him to like basically like to the G of the Jews basically, and
to be judged.
Yeah, I think it was Annas or Caiaphas. Sorry, my Protestants. I don't know.
Yeah.
But once again, I only remember saint names, and that whole beat up, how they kept beating him up, right? How they kept taking him to him.
Yeah.
It was a parade of demons around, and that was a mockery of the previous week, which was Palm Sunday, and how he walked in on a donkey, and everybody praised him.
Yeah.
And it was so like, wow, this day we had this, and then a couple of days after, we see the enemy trying to mock it.
And it's still happening today by the Satanists. They steal Jesus in the Eucharist. They mock him, right? They step on him. They piss on him. They do many ridiculous bad things that, we should always pray for reparation of the Holy Eucharist, So it's still happening today. They will say, yeah, that's Jesus. That's why we do
Yeah,
all this stuff.
they
in our
believe
street.
more than other Catholics.
They believe more than
70%
most
of
of
Catholics.
Catholics throughout the world.
So with that, I'd love to get more into this, and especially about masculinity. But guys, one reason why it inspired me, of course, not a lie, I wanted 2 people for episode 2, but no better than my dearest friends. Sit down, of course, with you guys, have a conversation, chill, learn, share experiences. But no better way to share about Edwin's apostolic mission in Miami in the internet than with the testimony of John. Oh, wow. And so no better way than see your fruits, right?
That's what he did.
And he became his godson later on, like last year. So it wasn't like he was a baby.
A year ago,
yeah. Or no, less than a year.
No, about to be a year in April.
In April, yeah, less. So it's been less than a year since he got baptized.
That's right.
Communion and confirmation. And since he did externality. This is a question to Edwin. And then there's a question to John. And then there's a couple more questions. First question I want to do to you, Edwin, is what inspired CATHOLIT ministry? I know, a lot of things, but I would love for us to go deeper in that. Maybe deeper than you ever had before, if you want, whatever. Sure. But especially that journey that got you to from where you were in a worldly mindset to doing CATHOLIT ministry. I've learned a lot. You shared with me a lot about his own testimony, and that's fantastic. I love it. Even though it may be different, but it's beautiful. Every one of our testimonies are beautiful, and so I'd love for you to share that CATHOLIT ministry journey, and then we'll go to him and how he joined CATHOLIT ministry. But first, to Edwin.
He joined CATHOLIC ministry in the spirit, unless you want to help us with the cameras. Yeah. You guys have heard it sporadically, here and there, details in, details out. Uh-huh. But honestly, you asked a question that I've said it here and there. But when I think, in retrospective into my life, I was a cradle Catholic, like many of us by culture, even though my family, they would take serious going to Sunday Mass, and my mom and my dad, that they would be part of this apostolate that will help courtships, basically a couple, right, before marriage, help them to discern marriage and to be able to get married by the church. That was their apostolate that we're part of back in the Dominican Republic. That's all I knew from I was born until I was 15. When I was 15, I came to this country, and then I like going to Mass because back in Dominican Republic, music was pretty cool. That was my mindset, okay? That was my mindset at the moment. And when I came here in Miami Gardens, it sucked. The music was so boring to me at that moment. To me, so super boring. Fast forward, I met this beautiful girl that today is my wife.
Sarah,
when I was 15 years old.
She's amazing, by the way.
All right? Back in 2012.
Wow.
I saw her back in 2012, December. We actually started dating in January. We literally just passed 11 years now together, knowing each other. And she, from the beginning, she told me, hey, Edwin, I do not want to have sex before marriage. And I said, of course. I mean, I knew that too because I'm a Catholic. In a way, I heard that because my mom and my dad would talk about it.
Yeah, if not, you go to hell if you have sex.
I don't remember in any memory that my mom and dad addressed it to me like, hey, listen, this is what marriage is about. This is what you shouldn't do. This is what all these things are wrong. Pornography, none of that stuff came about.
Right.
I did meet pornography back when I was 12 years old. And also masturbation as well. That took me down to a rabbit hole. It made me obsessive with the women, with the body of the women. So obviously I got to Sarah because of her body, obviously. I like her body. Then I found out she was Colombian. Then I was like, what, Colombian? To Dominicans, Colombia back in the day, it was exotic. This was like a Lamborghini.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like a Dominican hanging out with a Colombian. I was like, what's up, dude? You're like top G right now. So, but then
even to this day, not like they still have this like high image of Colombian girls.
Yeah, because I guess it's the way they speak, that they tend to be very beautiful from the face, all that stuff, beauty, whatever. But she really caught my heart She already had my eyes.
Yeah.
All right? She did. But she really caught my heart when she said she was Catholic. She likes going to Mass. And she told me her testimony into like why she now want to give her life to God and want to be closer to God, because she had a very bad experience with somebody else before me. And when I heard that from her, I said, wow. Like, I never heard this from anybody of my age. Like, they wanna like be closer to Jesus. I'm like, wow. And I respect her because I wanted to be with her, and I wanted to formalize within a week. I told her, I want you to be my girlfriend. She's like, no, whatever. Anyway, long story short, I was a two-faced hypocrite because I was serving in a young adult group since 17 years old. I was serving as a leader. I didn't want to do anything on that group. I just wanted to move around the chairs, move around a couple of tables, and that's it. And say, welcome, welcome, that's it. Didn't want to do anything else whatsoever. Moving forward, I'm already close to 19 years old. By 18 years old, I'm already living by myself.
By 18 years old, yeah.
18 years old.
Oh, wow.
By the time I live by myself, making money, not good money, but making money for my own, trying to live my own life, paying my own rent, paying everything myself. I was living in a house with a group of friends, and you better know, none of them go to church, none of them go to Mass. They're secular friends, and you better know from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we had parties going on. We had many things going on. I would drink a lot of alcohol. I would smoke a lot of hookahs. Go to parties that my girlfriend didn't even know I was going to. Wow. We'll go to a lot of like clubs and stuff like that without my girlfriend knowing none of this stuff, because I knew she'd be pissed. Not necessarily like I was formerly cheating on her, but obviously because I was so deep in sin, still pornography, still masturbation, which my girlfriend was not aware of because it was shameful to tell her that.
Yeah,
right? Like,
that happens to a lot of men too.
I got this girl, she wants to be close to God, and this dirty sinner that, I'm dealing with this stuff. I don't want her to know. And obviously, I cannot see her, truly love her, because every time I'm with her, I'm just thinking about her body. Because I'm already messed up because of the pornography and everything I'm involved with. So one day, this is like 3 years into this craziness, crazy lifestyle, serving in the young adult group, going to Mass, by the way, serving different places, doing many charities, and still living a double life. Like, I was somebody else at church and somebody else differently at home in the street with my homeboys, quote unquote. Yeah. And one day, Sarah took God's, and from her God's, whatever. She was like, hey, Edwin, the thing that she hated the most, aside from the music I was listening to, aside from the alcohol, was the hookah. So that was the number one thing. She told me, Edwin, is the hookah or me? And at that moment, shocked. I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, to me, it was like, what's the problem with hookah? That's okay. And she's like, no, it's not okay. That's not, God doesn't like that. I don't like it. And if I don't like it, I don't like it. I'm not going to change my mind about it. So you either leave the hookah or it's me. And obviously, we're already 5 years into our relationship, like grinding. We are living chastity. At this moment, not at the best, because I was not living chastity myself. Right. Together, yes, we were not doing anything like that. But myself, I still was involved in pornography, all this stuff, whatever. And I told her, of course you. I was not going to leave her. I knew she was a great woman for me, even though at this moment I was not thinking about marriage, because I'm about living my life and living in sin. You know what I mean? When you're in sin, I like to say, when you're in sin, sin makes you stupid.
Yep.
What does that mean? That you're not clear-minded. Yep. You're not able to make good decisions. 100%. That is formed by the Lord, that is formed by the Scripture, that is formed by the teacher of the church. You act stupidly because you are without thinking rationally. You know what I mean? You start thinking like an animal. You start giving into your lower passions, your lower sense of your person, which are your emotions, your passions, your appetites, all this stuff. That's what drives you, not the will and the trying to do the good thing. No, of course not. Because you're in sin. And like you're in mud. You cannot see well. That's what I was. Imagine when she tells me, I'm like, I don't know. 3 years in, I'm like, I think it's stupid. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Bro, anyway, I told her, yes, it's you. Forget it. I'm leaving the hookah. When I got back home, guess what?
You did hookah.
I was doing hookah back again. Literally an hour later. That day when I noticed that I acted stupid, I know I betrayed her because I gave her my word.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on, it's not. That's what I noticed. You see, it took one person to truly love me, to tell me the truth to my face. Because my sister didn't like the things I was doing. My mother didn't like the things I was doing. Nobody that truly loved me liked the things I was doing. But then they had the God to tell me the truth in my face. That's why I love to live in the truth and live by the truth.
Yep.
Which at the end of the day is Jesus, right?
Yes.
Because somebody got the guts to tell me the truth in my face boldly, like my girlfriend at that moment did. And I was confronted with that. And that one was like, what am I doing with my life? And, there starts the part of like, I want to give myself to the Lord, but I'm still attached to the music. I started attaching all these vices. Long story short, I started going to Santissimo at least 15 minutes a day. I hated it to be in Santissimo. I would go to adoration with the group, but I didn't want to be there. Yeah, I knew it was Jesus, but
You
to me
kind of
it
like
was
made
not important.
excuse, or you took your time to
Yeah,
go in.
and to me it was not important. To me it was like, to me it was like something that, yeah, it's
ladies do?
Jesus, but I didn't truly believe it. To me it was like, yeah, it's Jesus. But did I really believe that? Hell no. I'm sorry to say that word, but now,
But that's how you were,
Yeah, shorting even more the story. One day I'm driving on my car. An hour.
story.
I'm driving on my car an hour to my work. Shout out to Diana. Thank you so much for everything you did for me. She used to be my boss. We're still good.
Pray for Diana.
Pray for Diana and her family and 3 kids. I'm driving in my car. I'm Latino, so I'm into trap. I'm into dembow. I'm into all this stuff, right? Reggaeton. So I'm listening to Anuel AA, not to.
Oh, yeah, no. Real hasta la muerte.
Yeah, Real hasta la muerte was. He can't even himself believe that.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah,
Jesus
boy.
is real,
Only
even
Jesus.
after the death, all right? Jesus is real even after death.
Even till
All right,
now.
get it together. Anyway, I was listening to this guy, and I was popping because I love music.
Yeah.
And I was popping my thing, the same day, the next day, same hour, same place, listening to the same track because I always had a playlist, right? And I'm listening to the same song, and from one moment to another, and I like to, refer that to kind of what happened to Paul, to Saul. Like from 1 minute to another, he was in a different place after he, in a way, because he was blinded. That's what I'm talking about.
You were blinded in sin.
I was so blinded in sin
Wow.
that I didn't understand what I was listening to. And from one moment to another, it's like my ear changes, my heart changes, my brain's like open. And now I'm listening to what I'm truly understanding what they're saying. And everything that they're saying in these songs is literally denigrating the human dignity, denigrating the body of the woman, and obviously everything that is against the commandments. Drunkness, right? Drink like crazy, do a lot of drugs,
Parties,
have sex like crazy, have menaces with different women because that's what's cool.
Murdering people.
Murder people, go po, whenever you feel like it, just because they look at you bad. All these things, I was enjoying it. And bro, I broke down crying like a baby for a whole hour, the whole drive. And when I get to my job, my boss that she knew I was a good guy, because you could be a good guy, you could be a good person, and not be a saint, not living the truth.
Yeah.
And she thought somebody died in my family or something, because I was like, my eyes were
puffy.
so red and so like crying like crazy. I don't know, I'm okay. It's just something mean, nothing big deal. Bro, from that day on, every time, it took me 6 months to get over this intoxication of music and alcohol and the smell of hookah. So for 6 months straight, I couldn't listen to this music near to me because I would feel like I want to vomit.
Wow.
I couldn't smell alcohol because I felt like I want to vomit. I couldn't smell even this bit about hookah because I would vomit. Because I was going to, it was literally a merciful act of God. It was literally a miracle. Because I didn't decide to stop it. He just like, hey, this is what you're doing. It's basically like, I like to say like illumination of conscience.
Yeah.
He showed me exactly what I was doing, even though I was not looking to stop doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and that's a beautiful grace. Last podcast, our friend Benji actually shared that. So to see it again, that's beautiful. But continue.
Yeah. So, bro, my goodness, brother. I deleted everything in my phone. I deleted everybody that was following Instagram, all the stuff that I was watching on YouTube.
He said, "Go offline."
Yeah,
He went offline.
I stopped. I deleted all my music, even even the sorry, I'm popping eyes because I don't remember.
Wow.
So even the music that is known for, like for example, Juan Liguerra, but I deleted everything that has to be that was some kind of secular, because to me it was not good for my soul at that moment. I was very sensitive to the spirit, and then after that, everything I listened to was Catholic. Praise and worship, any urban music that is Latino music that is Catholic, all that stuff. That's all I did for a straight year. And exactly 6 months into that, I ended up to be one of the leaders of the Archdiocese of Miami for the Hispanic community for South Florida. Yeah. And my testimony was something so touching to so many other people. A lot of people were touched by my testimony because a lot of Catholics, that culture, they still think it's coherent to live the faith and listen to this kind of music, to watch rated R movies, to watch even PG-13 today. I mean, there's so much similarity to rated R today. So my whole point is like, so many Catholics, just like me, live our lives back then. I don't do that anymore. Purely by God's grace. You see, I didn't seek for it. I try, like, okay, I'm going to go to adoration.
Right.
I'm trying. But I was so captive by sin that he needed to do that last mile for me. And I praise God he did, because I wouldn't have been married today. Definitely my girlfriend at that time would have left me. Definitely, I don't even know what would be with my life. Maybe like a crackhead, or who knows? I don't even know, bro. I don't know. But the whole point is, bro, that moment sealed it for me. That moment on, then my question was, is it, okay, I knew it was God. I knew who God is. But is it true, my faith, what I believe in? So I did a through investigation about the Eucharist. From that moment on, I started doing a research about my faith. Do I really, is this thing that I believe true?
Yeah, the Eucharist.
Or just something made up by humans, whatever. Like, I didn't go to church fathers or anything like that, like Protestants would do, right?
Right.
Or many Catholics are they're very intellectual brains, whatever. I was not like that. I was a very practical guy. I didn't like books or anything like that. So I was like, what is this thing with the Eucharist? Is this really true? So I did my research and found like 2 specific Eucharistic miracles that were tested by atheist scientists who did so many trials, clinical trials, and scientific proof that these miracles are truly a living flesh, tissue, and belongs to a heart that has been pierced and going through suffering, but the white cells are still alive. In this small little bread that has some weird blood clots and whatnot. So I was like, who am I to deny the truth through science? Some people are like, prove me God through science. Don't go so far. Just be doing too much to the Eucharist.
Go to the Catholic Church.
Explain me how in a piece of bread that looks like wine, out of nowhere, it turns into blood, and it's shown that it's alive at the moment that it's proven. Which, by the way, Luciano, that was like 3 centuries ago, and it still is alive, that tissue. So at the end of the day, I was like, I confronted the truth, and I asked myself this question: do I accept this truth, or do I deny it? That's the only the two options you got are those two. Do you accept the truth of God and Jesus in the Eucharist, therefore the Catholic Church and the whole faith, or you deny that truth and you live by a lie?
Wow.
And I said, that'd be boring. I hate lies, because I had a background of like, I hate people that would lie to me.
Yeah, right.
And obviously, who likes to be lied to?
Yeah.
No human being likes that, not even an atheist. So at the end of the day, you already know what was my answer. So here I am, and from that moment on, I was like, I know so many people that knew me that were so impacted by my life because of how it changed and everything, because I also affect so many people by being this double face that were going to groups that would take them to clubs, even though I was supposed to be shepherding them. It was so ridiculous that to me, I was like, I will give my life to Jesus no matter what. And from that moment on, so many bad things started happening to me. But every bad thing that would come about, I was so happy. So joyful. Bro, wow. I remember, living by myself, I got no money. I'm broke, basically. I run out from my credit cards. They even like closed. They're closed credit cards. I can't pay this stuff out. And this woman, what I was living with his friends and my cousin by this time now, this will be my last time, what I will say. She kicked us out because she never paid the mortgage. We were paying like about $2,000 like back 5-7 years ago. She didn't pay 1 cent of 2 years to the mortgage. And basically the bank took the house and gave us 24 hours to evacuate the house. Guess what? I didn't have anywhere to go. Did I broke down crying? Did I went crazy? No, I was like, God, thank you. And you know what? It is what it is.
God's will.
I don't mind it. God, I gave my life to you. You got my back. I trust in you 100%. Bro, people out of nowhere started calling me, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm all good. I'm like, oh, you know, I'm thinking I want to send you some money. I'm like, why? I'm like, bro, people sending me money. Then people out of nowhere like, hey, bro, I heard what happened to you. Come to my house, bro. Like, nothing bad really happened to me because God got my back. But, you know, and that's why we're reflecting, and we'll finish here. So many Catholics, so many people, so many atheists, so many agnostics be like, why so many bad things happen to me? Well, number one, you don't understand that you need suffering in order to grow and be a better person. And obviously, the most important thing is to help you to be more holy if you're in the path of holiness. But number two, how can you expect that God is going to give you when you don't even give an inch? We don't deserve anything. But if you put your faith in Him, your full trust in Him, you think He's going to neglect the trust you have in Him? No way. And I would tell you so many important things that happened in my life, back to back to back, when things look like, no, we're not going anywhere. I'm done. That's it. There's no way this can get better, bro. I always be like steadfast in my faith. God got my back. And every time, even, bro, there was even one time, there's many times, ever since we've been married, ever since I've been married with my wife, where we thought that's it for us. And I've been like this, bro. And one day, I almost gave a little inch of doubt. I was like, hell no, this is from the devil. I reject this. I trust God no matter what. Everything was against my heart until the last minute He showed up. And I can be better than I am right now in so many ways. So I know that took a while, but it's a long life, 26 years old, and a lot of things been through my life. But yeah, praise God, bro. Praise God, and thank you for giving me this platform to give out the praises and honor that I deserve.
Thank you for sharing your testimony, bro. Like,
bro.
Thank you for being vulnerable. I also can relate before we go to John. I can also relate. Man, my alarm hasn't gone off, which is weird.
Still on.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty good. But wow, I can relate with those 3 days. Because when my testimony happened, and like I hated God, and of course, man, I'm pretty sure I already shared it with you and you guys, shared this before, but I really relate to like hitting rock bottom and being faced with God, kind of like Saul, and being like, what? And funny enough, that I was in a situation, and in 3 days, I saw a miracle of God that helped me, that really did help me, and He rescued me. The same day, 3 days, like St. Paul was blinded, and 3 days like the resurrection. So that is super beautiful. And like when you hit rock bottom, that's the best place you can be, closest to God. And there was a saint who said, a suffering is like a kiss from Jesus on you. I think that was Mother Teresa.
I don't think so. Somebody else.
Maybe.
I'll look it up. So I digress, yeah.
So that was Mother Teresa? Suffering is like a kiss.
Suffering are, but remember, pain, sorrow, suffering are but the kiss of Jesus.
Yep.
A sign that you have come so close to Him that He can kiss you. It's so beautiful, bro.
Wow.
And you know one of my prayers is literally, give me all the suffering you want, Jesus. I don't mind.
No way.
Yeah, that's one of my prayers.
Wow.
And whenever I see my wife going through like battleship, I just please take it out from her, give it to me, oh Lord.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, bro, like
You gotta carry your cross.
I better be scared of like having so long time in purgatory. I think suffering in purgatory is way worse. So I'd rather have it here.
Yes. Even Father Pio said it. He said that 2 years or 1 year of like his painful illness was worth more is less or like less painful, worth more than a minute. I think he said a minute in purgatory, which is crazy.
Dude, he's my inspiration. He's my number one OG.
This is why we also have the statue of Padre Pio, which also correlates with when we did X's 90. We looked up to Padre Pio. So that's when you did Catholic ministry, and then later you went on to start getting the cameras, as you were telling me in the car.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I, we started to be invited a lot to talk about chastity, because that was our ground testimony, our chastity.
Wow.
And we started doing that a lot, and they were like, hey man, we truly are good for this. Like, we can speak, we're engaging all this stuff. I will give my testimony in so many places. People love it.
Wow.
I'll be always very biblical. It'll be very like faith-based and not like me inventing stuff. And I've been one of the things that I really like, a lot of people like, was that I was so like real with my words. Like I was not sugarcoating the reality. Like, don't have sex. Don't be like, kids, don't worry.
Don't get too far with the women. No,
sugarcoating the faith has done a lot of damage to so many souls.
Yep, sure.
And then after that, it took off to me just share about my faith, my testimony through YouTube. I started back when I proposed to my girlfriend with a journey to the World Youth in Panama. That's when I started doing vlogs. That's what started my channel. And I started talking about God. And then from there, we started doing podcasts for singlehood, for couples, for engagement. And now, obviously, we got married. Now we're focused also on marriage. Other stuff. And
wow, praise be our Lord.
Yeah, and from there, I hate studying, but if it is theology, philosophy, and spiritual warfare, call me for it.
Yeah,
I will eat those books,
bro, for real.
I will eat this book. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing that since 2018, constantly studying a lot because I need to hold if I want to talk about things, I need to know what I'm talking about. So I've been studying a lot of theology, a lot of Mariology. And ever since, that's what I've been doing. And right now, the Catholic ministry has a specific niche, which is focused on the path towards marriage. That's our focus. That's what we're working on. Obviously, I got my own little, things here and there about philosophy, theology, spiritual warfare. But Catholic ministry, as it is, my wife and I, we're focused on the journey to marriage.
Wow, beautiful.
As traditional as can get.
Traditional, for real, the real thing, the real deal.
The most beautiful thing you can see.
And then, wow. And then you were, of course, your church was Mother of Christ.
Mother Redeemer.
Mother Redeemer. Sorry,
yeah, Mother of Christ down south.
Yeah, it's kind of. You were in Mother Redeemer, then stuff happened, unless you want to share it, call that out. But then you got called by Father Julio, who was in St. Benedict, to come to St. Benedict.
Hey, yo, I want you here. I want you to start these truth ministries and whatnot. So my wife and I jump on that, and we had a specific mission. We're gonna build the groups. We're gonna try to build leaders, and then we are, because we have a mission to accomplish to Catholic ministry. That's exactly what we set out to do. Did it end up the best way we wanted to? No, but that was not on me. That's when you understand. God's will is not always what you thought that you were gonna do.
Yep.
It's whatever He allows to happen.
Yeah. Wow. And then from there we have John. So
dude, yeah.
My boy John now in the spotlight.
It's a miracle from God, bro. What a beautiful thing.
So now, John, we heard how he started up Catholic ministry, but then how did you come into the faith? How was that journey of how you met that one friend of yours? Yeah. And then later meeting Edwin in Catholic ministry and the youth group and the church, and then one day this guy shows up. And then he leaves. And then he shows up again.
Yeah.
How was that whole journey for you, John?
Man.
That whole testimony.
It's a lot. It's a lot to, take in. But, when I first got into, the faith, ever since I was, a little kid, we were all raised, now through the society. Or my age, I'm, 19 years old. Every, 19-year-old can, relate to me, how they were raised, as a very sinful way, getting raised, listening to music, horrible music, very sinful stuff. And I don't. This is the first time I'm in a podcast, by the way, so please have patience with me.
No nerves.
Hey, you owe me one, by the way.
Yeah, I do.
Oh yeah, I never been.
Yeah, I owe a couple of people some podcasts.
But Don't worry, you can look at me because at the end of this is a conversation.
No, yeah.
Don't be like, I saw you were like, no, bro.
No, yeah.
The version in the middle. She's mother.
So when I first started like getting into the faith was when I first got with my girlfriend, Uriela Dennis.
Shout out, Uriela.
Yeah. I love you.
Oh.
She, when we first met, it just like how Edwin was raised and how like, me and Edwin are Dominican, by the way.
Que lo que tigre.
The Dominicans have a bad reputation with like, how women always say, "Oh, you're Dominican. Oh, I gotta be careful with you," and all that stuff.
That's crazy.
But
not like Dominicans have always been the sweethearts. Well, at least some of them I've met.
No, not now in our society. People always say that we're like the worst.
Wow.
And I don't know. Like when I first met her, obviously, like I was nothing in the faith. Like I believed in God. I could call myself like. Yeah, like Gnostic. I believed in God. I didn't really know like who to believe in. I wasn't really into that. At that moment, I was literally focused on playing Fortnite or something like that, and into my water polo and stuff. But when I first met her, I texted her. I remember the same night I was on a Discord call with my friends.
Discord call.
And
you're sure you're shot.
You and Edwin know a couple of my friends.
Shout out Eric. Shout out Eric.
Shout out Eric all the way in Missouri.
He's in Missouri now?
He's in Missouri right now.
Oh, prayers for him.
And Justin, obviously.
Just shout out Justin.
But I was on a Discord call, and I was telling all my friends, I'm gonna text all these girls, man.
What?
When I tell you, and I know all of you guys out there, like my age, around my age. I know how you guys are. So don't think you're not slick. They think they're slick, but they're not. But I was horny. Like I was horny and I was desperate to lose my virginity. You get me? I was desperate to get out there in the world and do what everybody else does. I was trying to follow the wrong thing. I was like following the devil.
Yeah, you're trying to fill yourself. Yeah. You're trying to look for that.
So I texted him. I texted a bunch of girls. None of them responded to me except Uriela. And like, I feel like every time I think about that, I'm like, dang, that was God. That was God.
God did, bro.
That was God. And she texted back, like I hit her with like one of those corny like pickup lines. I'm like, oh, you look beautiful, like something like that. I was like, oh, it's like, is it me or is it like you're just like so beautiful? And then she was like, thanks. She was like, oh, thank you. And then from there, I started talking to her more every day. And she was like, I guess she like liked me. She told me, she was like, oh, like ever since like the first time I texted her, she already started liking me. Because she was like, she hasn't received like something like that.
Yeah, you're straight up. And that's what girls like. For all my Catholic men tips, be straight up. Don't try to be her friend and what. No, be straight up. That's what I was to Gabby and to all my, my other Catholic, but you straight up. Be straight up.
So she said she liked it. Like when I like,
that
obviously
confidence.
After a year of dating, she told me, like we were talking about it and she was like, oh, like ever since you texted me that like right away, like it gave me like a green light. You get me? Yeah, a green light. And I was like, I told her straight, like honest. I was like, I wasn't texting you just to text you like you were beautiful. I was trying to text you, like I thought you were beautiful, and then she is beautiful. But I was trying to text her because I was.
You're fishing.
Yeah, I was fishing for the wrong things.
But like Peter, you got caught.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. When Jesus told Peter to put the net down to catch all those fish, and I was like dang, that I felt like Peter at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
When I started realizing like a year after.
Wow.
I was like, dang, like that. I was pretty much Peter there at that moment without noticing, like, which is crazy. Like you do things like in your life that you don't even notice that you notice like later on. Just how the quote said earlier in the podcast, you were like, oh, when you ask God for a prayer, but He doesn't give you the prayer exactly how you wanted it to be. You know what I mean? So that's how I felt, even though I didn't pray about it at all. I was doing the wrong thing. I was thinking the wrong things. So then catch up on that. After a year, after like talking to her for like 3 months, like I kept texting her, and then I started liking her. Like there was a point that like the first month I was like, nah, I just want to smash. Like I just want to,
All right.
I don't want to do the wrong things.
I feel I was the same. I was the same.
Yeah, and then once the second month, third month, fourth month, I was like, wait a minute, like I low-key like this girl. That she's different. And then once I asked her out to be my girlfriend, she said yes, obviously. And then she started talking to me like once after like 3 months. And I love what she did. She took it slowly for me. Like she took it slowly. She wasn't. Me and Edwin were talking about this earlier. How we shouldn't express like our faith like that, like not our faith, but about Catholicism and all that stuff, like into somebody like right away. You're like, oh, you meet somebody the same day. You're like, are you Catholic? Oh, do you know Jesus is the Son of God? You know he's Christ.
Yeah.
He's
Let them fall in love with you first, and then let that mist of that smell of Catholicism be natural.
And it was crazy because she wasn't baptized yet. She wasn't baptized yet. She got baptized in the first year of us dating, and I think 2 months before she got baptized, she like talked to me, and I was like, hey, what's up? And she was like, I need to talk to you seriously. I was like, yeah, tell me. Like she told me this was what changed me. Just like Edwin, she told me, I can't be with you if you're not Christian, like you're not Catholic. And I was like, dang. Like at the moment I was like, yeah, I'll think about it. I promise you, that was probably like the most stressful week of my life. Like I didn't know what to do, and this was even before I even met any of you guys. Like I was like, oh my goodness, like what is happening? So then I told her I'll think about it, and I'll give you an answer by like 2 weeks, maybe a month. I was trying to like, and then she invited me. After that, a month later, she invited me to the youth group, which pretty much changed my life, like forever, She was like, hey, come to youth group with me. And my mom found out about it in St. Benedict. And she
St. Benedict.
Even my girlfriend, like, she didn't even want to go. She was like, I don't want to go. But whatever. She wants us to go really bad, so we're going to go. And Andres didn't want to go either. He was like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And then they went. But that, I remember, she asked me to come, but I couldn't go that day.
Dang. No.
So I remember, I think you remember the first day that Uriela and Andres went, I wasn't there. So literally the 2 hours passed by and youth group is over. She really didn't want to go to the youth group. She didn't want to go because, her mom was like, oh, we got to go, please go. And then she went with Andres.
Shout out Andres.
Yeah, shout out
her
Andres,
brother.
Another good friends of ours. And then after 2 hours passed, I was like waiting for her phone call. And then I think I remember I was at my house just laying on my bed. And all I see is like 3 phone calls from her, spamming me. She's like, you're going next.
That's the first night that she went to the youth group.
Yeah, first night.
CATHOLIT Ministry.
First night. And she spammed calling, and I picked up and I was like, what happened? She was like, I was like, how was it? She's like, you're coming next Thursday. And I was like, what? Like, she was like, yeah, you're coming next Thursday. I don't care what you're doing. Cancel practice, whatever you got to do. You're coming next Thursday. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'll go. Because, like, how Edwin was saying, like, you don't have to be a bad guy. Like, you could be a good guy and still, like, not live in faith. So, like, as humble as I can, like, as humble as I can say, like, I feel like I was a good guy, like, a really good guy.
You do have a good heart.
Yeah.
Me and my friend was talking about that the other day. You have a good heart.
I was like, I always, like, even, like, I was thinking of sinful things and, like, doing sinful things, like how I got with my girlfriend, and I was like, one of the first things I wanted to do with my girlfriend were sinful.
Mm-hmm.
I still had a good heart. Like, I still wanted to treat her good. Like, I didn't want her, to be like, most, like, sadly, most men in our society, they've been raised to the point that they do sinful things and they don't care.
Yep.
They don't care. They do no remorse. And that reminds me a lot of the devil. You know what I mean? And ever since, so I came on Thursday. I went to the youth group on Thursday. First time I ever seen this beautiful
lovely
man.
face.
Beautiful man.
Crazy, ugly guy.
Yeah.
Nah,
I was
goated.
like,
This goat, bearded.
I wanted,
wise.
I wanted you to know something. When I first saw Edwin, I was like, this guy's Dominican, bro. He has to be. Because every Dominican has.
You saw it right through.
Yes, because every Dominican has that chin strap beard that they don't have, like the mustache on top. They always have it. Like every baseball player, Dominican baseball player has it. Every Dominican has that. And I'm like, yeah, this guy has to be Dominican, bro. This guy has to be. So I was already kind of like a little excited. I was like, all right. And then, obviously, the famous Edwin introduction. What's your name? What's your occupation? And what's your credit card number? Obviously, I didn't give out the credit card number, but still.
Of course.
Who invited you?
Oh yeah, who invited you? And obviously, I said my girlfriend, Uriela Dennis.
I was like, yo, what?
He's like, oh wait, I didn't know you had a I didn't know you had a boyfriend. And I was, that youth group, and I remember that same first day youth group. It was the first topic of chastity.
Wow.
It was the first topic of chastity. Because I remember Edwin had different topics. It was like a chapter.
Uh-huh.
And Edwin, every time he do youth group, it's like 1 month is based on this.
Right.
So that 1 month was based on chastity. So it was like the first youth group of that month.
Wow.
So it was about chastity.
Praise be our Lord.
And, I was there sitting down. And my mind, I have ADHD. And, ever since I was a kid, my mom gave me, in 5th grade, I took pills for my ADHD for school because it was so bad. It got to the point that it was bad.
Same.
But then, I stopped. I thought I could control it. Sometimes it could get to me, but now I'm old enough to control it. It's all mental.
It's all mental.
Yeah.
On the mind.
And I was sitting there just shaking my leg, that I normally do, and I'm just chilling. And then Edwin starts giving his presentation. And what I love about Edwin is that he's always yes, and this, and that. He's always excited. And then, I like that vibe. I like that vibe. It was a good vibe.
What's up, guys? Welcome.
And I had no clue, nothing about Jesus. I didn't know what the Eucharist was. I didn't know what saints were. I used to think, even when normal people, what the society has had so many rumors about Catholics. I used to believe those rumors, how
the
Catholics used to worship saints, and how those during mass is just one of those normal you go to church on Sunday
service.
Yeah, I always used to think that. So I was just there thinking of that, and then Edwin started talking about, and what I love about Edwin's speeches, and wow, I wish I could go back to those youth groups. I wish I could go back.
Wow.
He always uses the worldly view of it first, and then he uses Jesus. So he makes.
Yeah, I remember in the presentation he used that for October 31st.
Yeah, he uses the worldview first. He makes it make sense through common sense, through human nature, and then he uses God to support it too. So he uses both sides. So even if there was a person that was an atheist in there, or it could have been an atheist or me, an agnostic, I couldn't argue that because he made it make sense first through.
But just the simple facts.
He made it make sense through a worldly way and then through a God way. You know what I mean?
God.
So I was like, dang, I couldn't say anything. I didn't disagree with nothing.
Praise God.
I didn't disagree with nothing. I was just sitting there looking at my girlfriend yo, this guy's good. This guy's good. So, and then I remember Edwin, at the end of the youth group, he went up to me and he was like, how'd you, where were you baptized and all that stuff? And I looked at Edwin and I was like, yeah, I'm not baptized. And he was like, what? What? He was looking at me what? You're not baptized? Are you new? And he was like, I'm like, yeah, I didn't tell Edwin. I was like, I'm trying to get baptized. I told him maybe a week after, 2 weeks after. Because once the second week hit and I kept going to the youth group, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. And something's telling me, this wasn't God telling me something yet. like it felt like me, like, and that is God too. Like, God was telling me without me like acknowledging it's Him, that like, oh, like this is true. So like my gut feeling was like, yeah, I think this might be the wave. Cause ever since I was young, I've always tried to be like good with people, you know, good heart. Like I've always tried to have a good heart.
Yeah.
So I was like, what Edwin has been explaining to me through chastity, you like, it shows like that chastity, you have to have a good heart. And like people who do chastity have good hearts. Not just good hearts, not just being good with God and following God and being a slave to God, but having a good heart too. Which I love that Edwin did that. Like I love, like, I wish people could experience that, like what I experienced. That was youth group days were great. And then once I told Edwin, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get baptized. What do I have to do? I didn't know nothing about catechism. I had no clue what to do. I thought it was like one of those days, like, oh, you just get baptized. I think that was like next week we're getting baptized. Like, am I getting baptized next week? And he, like, Edwin was like, he was smiling at me and he's like, nope. He smiled at me. I
imagine like, no. Can you do that? Can you do that?
No.
Sorry about that, but no. And I was like, really? I was like, yeah. And he explained to me everything, catechism, and thankfully I did catechism with Edwin.
Yeah, and thanks also to
Father
Father Julio.
That's your guy.
Yeah.
Thanks also for Father Julio, bro. He allowed you.
Shout out to my dear Father Julio.
Father Julio, bro. A G, bro.
Amazing guy. Amazing priest.
Yeah, he gave Edwin the permission to give me catechism, one-on-one, and those catechisms, it wasn't nothing like youth group. This was like class. It was more intense and like, and it was serious. It was serious because like
serious stuff.
I can see like the difference of like the energy of Edwin. He was like it's. He looked at me like it's over. Like now it's grind time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No more having fun in youth group. No more excited Edwin. This is like it's go time. You know
this is.
I like that because like I'm a coach now. I'm an assistant coach for water polo. You know. And
shout out.
I need to, just with that, with catechism, it shows discipline as a Catholic. Even if like you weren't baptized, I did Exodus 90 before I was baptized. It showed me discipline to be a Catholic. Catechism is another discipline a Catholic learns before you're even Catholic.
Right.
Because you have to go to class every week, probably almost every day. For me, it was every week, 2 times a week. 2 times a week.
2 times a week?
Yeah.
Tuesday? Wasn't it only Tuesday?
Because you will have to go on Tuesday and then go on Thursday for group.
Oh, so
it was
like 2 times a week.
Yeah.
So it was discipline, you know what I mean? And I wasn't forced to be there. I could have just told Edwin I don't want to be Catholic no more. But I had to discipline myself. I had to discipline myself. And I did it. There was times that I didn't want to do it, but I still went. And that's what I like about the faith, That it's just like how Jesus picked up the cross. I know he didn't want to do it, but he had to do it for us, and it's, and I was learning about that during catechism too, like how, the passion. And I was, that really changed everything, ever since like I learned about the passion and, passion of Christ, and it really hits somewhere that you have never found in your heart. Like, how you tell somebody like, oh, you're in this place in my heart, like you're in this spot of my heart. It was like that one part of my heart that was like locked. And like ever since I learned about the passion, like it unlocked it. It was like a key of like I was for all the kids, like all the people my age, I was bugging out. I was bugging out. It was like a good and a bad feeling. I'm like, yo, like.
It was like a bittersweet.
I don't know. Yeah, it was bittersweet. It was crazy.
That's what, I don't know, but there's only 2 movies I've cried to.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, when I saw The Passion of Christ, that movie was the first ever movie to make me cry. Yeah. I seen Titanic, nothing, of course, but The Passion of Christ, that movie.
Yeah,
is tight.
It's crazy. Like,
when you're meditating the passion, it brings so much fruit. Even our Lord says it.
It was different. It was something out of this world, and I feel like people, mostly like people my age, like I know there's been a lot of rumors and a lot of lies, and you don't know what to trust. Like nowadays, like you don't know what to trust, like on the internet, TikTok, Instagram. But you know, Christ, you know, this church, the church has been here for 2,000 years, so, and it's still standing to this day. So trust in that. You know what I mean?
And what was something about the Passion? Sorry to interrupt. Do you want to finish that?
My favorite part about the Passion?
Yeah, something that impacted you the most about the Passion, if you were to say. I know you also love the Passion, so maybe we can bounce that out to you. But if you want to finish,
my favorite part about the Passion, you know, that hit like totally different for me was definitely, you know, Jesus picking up the cross and taking it up that mountain. You know, every gym rat loves that part of the Passion. You know that. You know, I go to the gym. Lord, give me the strength, just how you know, pick the cross for us and put it. You know, he dragged that like. Mm-hmm. He dragged the whole cross, that weight, probably how many pounds?
300 pounds.
300 pounds up a mountain, uphill.
Beaten and scarred. Every inch of his body was whipped.
With thorns on his head, like I don't know. That part, I feel like it's unexplainable. I don't, if I was there, like I can't imagine people seeing that. If I would see that, I don't know. I give respect to all those, like all the apostles, you know, for like bearing to see that. Like I don't know how
those that did though. Some of them,
which is only one.
No, yeah, of course.
Which is only one.
And they're just looking at that happening.
Well,
and I know they wanted to stop it, but Jesus told them not to do it.
Well, mainly Our Lady and John, but
it's crazy. Like,
you know this. Sorry to add. You know that's why they say that. That's why Joseph didn't live longer.
After finishing, you know, almost done with my catechism. After, was it 6 months?
We started September all the way to April. What's that? I don't know. 6 months. So let's say 6 months.
6 months of catechism and youth group every week. Tuesday, Thursday. It was a lot, and I was really grateful for it, you know. And I learned a lot through those 6 months. Probably 8 months. I've been learning about you know, the faith and the church, you know. And it's crazy because I wish I could, like, I don't know if you guys ever think like this, but I think like this, like, yo, like, I wish I could go back to like how I was when I first started, like literally the day before like maybe an hour before I went to youth group, and I could see myself, and I see, like, we're both looking at each other. I'm like, you're gonna change, your life is gonna change.
You don't even know what's ahead of you.
Like, I wish I could do, like, you guys probably think the same thing, like, what would you do, like, if you were in that position, like?
Me?
I know you like asking us the questions, but what do you do in that position?
Thank you for asking me a question. I sometimes think of that. I used to think that a lot back then. When I didn't fulfill my past. And that's another, like, something crazy, another journey. But I think sometimes I think about that. I think it would be a point. I think it would go back to, which is crazy, but since my conversion was very different.
Yeah, of course.
I hit rock bottom when I was 14, and out of initial conversion, of course, I fell away. That's the youth group, which was pretty bad. It was like lukewarm, pretty bad youth group in St. Benedict at that time. Even though it was great, lovely, but not Catholic. Then, of course, I had that second conversion. I was like, okay, God, okay, now I won't leave, which will come up February 14th. But a moment I see myself going back is actually when I would be in Dolphin Mall, going out dates with girls, and just look at myself and just be like, wow, look at, like, and then me looking at my young self, and then my young self looking back at me. I would think about this a lot when I had a buzz cut, because I was always about my hair looking good, and in 2020 I did a buzz cut before everybody did it in the pandemic. In the beginning of 2020, I did it to get rid of my pride. And I remember I asked someone in school, and they're like, "Yeah, do it." So I had a buzz cut, and sometimes I still thought like imagine that me looking at me in the world. It's like, why do you have a buzz cut? Yeah. Like, why are you? What happened to your rings that you would wear to look cool? Instead, I only have one ring left, which gives glory to God. Like, what the? And it's like, you're becoming a man now. You're becoming a true person that you've always thought to be. And I think that's what I would say. It's very deep.
Even a buzz cut could change somebody's life.
Yeah, like I had a buzz, like, but especially now, like let's say now, right? I think it would definitely be somewhere like in my beginning of high school, either after or while I hit that rock bottom, or after. Just, and I thought about this the other day, as I always like to reflect on 2023. In 2023, a lot of my suffering that I went through made sense. And that's what's beautiful. Just being able to be like, you're becoming a man. You're becoming that person that you've always wanted to be. And just be able to like see myself. And then, but as you see yourself, that's how Jesus is always looking at you. So it's like, wow, this is how Jesus is always looking at us, with joy, like a father. So that's how I would see myself. How about you? Like, I know maybe you shared it, but I want you to share that again.
You know, I would obviously like definitely maybe like the day before.
Yeah, the youth group. Yes.
The day before my first ever youth group, I'd look at myself and I'm like, I'd tell myself, I'm like, just get ready, like you're about to go into like a roller coaster of emotions and like I'll tell myself, I'm like, you're about to open your spirit, like you're about to open your like spiritual life right now. And obviously me, I know myself, I'd be like, okay, like first of all, why are you even in front of me? Like,
for real.
Why is me in front of me right now, and why are you telling me that? You know, but that's definitely something I would tell me. That's definitely I'll tell myself.
How about you, Edwin?
What about you, Edwin?
Yeah.
What I would tell myself.
Maybe in that car ride or before that car ride.
Before that car ride.
Or in the hookah.
You're sitting
that hookah.
No, I think the car ride is the big.
You're sitting in passenger and you're looking at yourself and he looks back like, yo, Edwin?
It's so cool. I never thought of that. I never ever thought of that. I mean, be talking about Jesus in my conversations for the past 6 years or more. I never thought of that, but well, 5 years and a half. What I would say to myself or talk to myself about, like me today, me Edwin, back to that guy before.
Edwin cruising down Anuel, and then Edwin looks and he's like, oh my goodness. Edwin.
I would tell that guy, you have been so stupid that you have lost so much time of truly loving your girlfriend, your sister, your mother, your father, and everyone that really cares about you. You have lost so much time, and you rather have put those times into fake friends, losing a lot of money, and into so many vices. And the last thing I will say, but don't worry, because your past can be redemptive towards your future, and especially your present. So don't worry, don't look back, don't get anxious, live the present moment. And I would say that to myself because that's where I'm at today.
Yeah.
You know, ever since I've been stepping into a new chapter of my life, that's my focus, you know, trying to live the will of God in my life. And every day, try to do my best decisions, try to sin less.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Avoid habitual sins and all that. I'm not saying to make a lot of mistakes here and there and whatever, but that's what I would talk to myself. And I never thought of that. It's so cool.
No, yeah, it is.
So cool.
Wow, that's very humbling. You would very humble yourself.
Yeah.
I think one thing that made me in a way think of this was one of my favorite TV shows, of course, The Flash. I don't know if you've ever seen The Flash. Yeah. He also goes back in time, and when he goes back in time, he just looks at himself, and he's just like, wow. And I guess it's very like
the
deep.
maturity and the whole stuff.
Yeah, and I think us as Christians, Catholics, we should do that in our mental prayer and our meditation.
Because at the end of the day, you know what I like to say? I have said this for some reason, bro. It's like, when God gives you specific graces, don't think that He's giving it to you just because He loves you and it ends there. No, He wants you to use those graces to help everyone around you that He sends you to you.
Yep.
So a lot of people come to me, and one of the things is they talk about is how they can stop thinking about the past, how they cannot forgive themselves, how they think that they're not good enough, all these things, right? And to me, it's like, that's bananas. Well, obviously, I got to approach that with so much charity and love and mercy. So I tell them, who cares what happened back then? Certainly, God doesn't care anymore. He cares what your decision is today. And that's what this was going to determine where you end up to. Because a lot of people say, what is the most important thing in this life? Oh, get to heaven. Okay. How do you think that you can make it to heaven? It's by the decisions you make. Nothing else.
Yeah,
decisions you make. And obviously, in the forefront of your decisions is love, no matter what. And, love, obviously, in truth. Don't do love without truth. That's nothing. That's bananas. That's loco. Yeah. Or go truth without love, you're also failing. So
you're lacking.
You know what I mean? So a lot of a lot of people struggle with the being grateful for where they're coming from. Like, think about where you're coming from, bro. Think about where God got you from out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's huge. Oh. Just because right now you're not going through the most beautiful moments. I'm going to check my camera. It's good.
Yeah, it's recording.
Oh yeah, it's recording. Sorry. Continue.
Just because you're not living the most beautiful moments of your life today, that doesn't mean that God is not with you or He doesn't love you.
Or He's not working.
No, it's just like we just read, I don't know if it's going to be recorded or not, that you mentioned, then Santa Teresa, Mother Teresa, right? Calcutta.
Yeah.
What did you say? She said, whenever you're going through sorrow and suffering, it is like but a kiss of Jesus. And what that means is that He is so close to you. Wow, bro.
You know what really relates to me?
And that has to do with passion, right?
Yes. You know what? You know what relates with the passionate moment for me? One moment for me really was, man, I went through such a crisis in 2022. And funny enough, it was before my breakup. It was before the breakup. But I remember in 2022, when I wrapped up 2022, it was like the year I really became a man of God. And that year I was like, okay, that's it. That was the year I dropped pornography, masturbation. I started fasting more and even more than I ever had before.
Crazy though,
bro, I was such fasting. I think it literally maybe transubstated. It so much so that 2 churches asked me to be Jesus for the Via Crucis. And so much so that William, who did Exodus 90 with us the next year, and that year I basically did an Exodus 90 by myself. Thanks to our Lord's grace. But I was doing so much, right? Even in the Via Crucis, people saw Jesus in me because I was just trying to reflect it. Even going through a black fast, meditation, prayer, suffering, embracing. I was uniting myself, trying, right? But then Easter came. Nice. Okay, these good things. I'm with my girlfriend, this, that, Catholic, da. Then April passed, May came, June, and I felt like I was stuck. I felt like in a way that I literally wanted to take my life, even as a Catholic, even as a practicing whatever Catholic, because I still felt like everything I did, it like I didn't see it transform so much in my life. I was still falling into some vices, right? And I was like, why is this? I mean, I literally became Jesus. Like, why is this? Why am I not living the life I want to be? And I remember, like I would pass by my old high schools, right? And I was like, dang, man, I want to help people, but I don't know why. Like, and I remember I even tried to go out outside matter, pass out pamphlets. It worked out, but like I want to do that more. I felt like I was like how you feel in the rat race. That's how I felt, but spiritual. I was in a spiritual rat race, and what's funny and what I connected to the passion is that at that time, guess what song was popular in the summer of 2022?
I'm sure.
Running Up That Hill. You know that song? Running Up the Hill. You know that song?
That sounds familiar.
It's the Stranger Thing. The one that from the famous Stranger.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Running Up That Hill. Okay,
Yeah.
so, and I even saw the TikTok the other day. I was like, what's a song that can remind you so clear of summer of 2022? And then they started playing that song, and I'm like, oh no. Every time I hear that song, it feels like I get liver punched. Sometimes I hear it in the gym, and I'm like, because I would listen to that song, and that's how I was feeling.
It's just like the character in the show.
Yes, and this girl in the song, she's like, I wish, running up that hill. I want to run up that hill, and if God could change, our position, where our situations in our life, basically. And I saw it, and I would listen to it, and I would try to purify it, right? Running up the hill of Calvary. I want to run up that hill of Calvary. I want to run up that hill and just switch my life situations. Something in my life that's not working and connecting. I was going through that rut. And then for me to look back, if I was in that situation, like if I went back, like after 2023 or now, I'll be like, don't worry, Danny, it gets better. Like that's where I would also go back and see myself, and how the passion in a way connects to me, because like that song reminded me of the passion, and I don't know, like I wanted to run up that hill and be free, and I had so many ideas, like for example Serviam Studios and all that, but I didn't believe in myself, which was the thing. And which is the thing also about love, is I had truth but I didn't have love. Yeah, I love God. I wanted to spread his love. I was so true about the faith, but I didn't really love God truly. And actually I didn't start this journey until I actually met you guys at the start of this journey. Truly loving God, which was how? Loving myself. And after that breakup, which was like God given, I took a cease of my life. Like I was part of this life, and then it was completely different the next day. I thought I was gonna be alone. I was ready to be alone, but then like God put Edwin, and of course the people in St. Benedict there once again in my life, John, all these people, and then even like John being like, oh, John and all other people, not only giving me compliments, but you guys something shared like, wow, I like, how you testify and all that. And so I was like, wow, like I
Giving you so hope,
Yeah, like I'm just trying. Yeah. I'm just trying, and that's what I wanna like. If there's something I want to say in this podcast about also Edwin's apostolic mission, is that in a time where I needed that support, that healing, you and your sister really did bring me that. Ed, so Sarah, and that was so beautiful. Not only to John, but also to me.
Praise God. And
then we also got together. I don't know if you want to share anything on that, but would you guys like to share that as well? Like a moment where, in a way, you were suffering so much and you relate to the passion.
Yo, I do want to say something before we skip. I never said anything about his conversion. I'll bring into that and then connect to some other thoughts I have about the passion. Dude, I remember the first day I saw this guy, right? He said, I noticed he got there with Uriela. What to me could be a friend. Mm-hmm. But then he said, no, my girlfriend. I'm like, oh, what? Let's go, what? And then we get out there, and I tell the guy, hey, so are you baptized or not? You guys already heard. But to me, it was very captivated because he kept coming. By the second or third one, he was like, oh, I want to tell you something. And he told me about, like, he was struggling, some stuff, family issues. And I asked him, you really want to love God? Like, you really want to, like, do his will? Like, you really want to do this? Like, you legit want to become a Catholic? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, and I told him, get ready. So you got to get bashed. And, he could have taken for granted, but I know what I was talking about. Because this is not the way that demons operate the same way. Yep. They're not creative, Okay.
Yeah,
They
they're
don't
pretty
have a
prideful, so they're stubborn. and
They
it's the
don't
same
have a
thing.
creative mind. They just have a 1 + 1 is 2. That's what they do. They quadriculate it. Okay. So I told them, get ready for it. I don't know. I know he didn't take it for granted because literally a couple of days later, things got worse.
Yeah.
From the moment that he said, I will commit to become a Catholic, I told him, get ready. Do not get discouraged because that's the way that he's going to use to do that. And
Wow.
a couple of months went by and he's like, yeah, I really want to become a Catholic. And I'm like, you sure? Yeah. Bro, it was so beautiful to me. I told him that, bro, it's so ridiculous how you trying to be a Catholic and yet you're not even baptized. I kind of sense some kind of grace of God. And to me, you know, I'm very like, I say orthodox. To me, yes, I'm not putting God into a box. He's God. He can do whatever he wants. We know how his grace is you know, is donated to
Formulated
us.
or no?
Yeah, no, donated to us through the sacraments that we know for a fact that's happening. But outside of that, we don't have any assurance that every person on earth has the grace of God. We cannot assure that, right? So to me, it was beautiful because this guy had a even bigger heart than I had. With things that he was telling me that he would do it or not do, I was like, I didn't tell him the right. I think probably I did because I was so straight up with him a lot. It's like, it's ridiculous how much charity you have in your heart, and you don't even have the Holy Spirit within you yet.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and then to me, it was like, imagine what God is going to do with your life. And this guy will bring friends, and friends will listen to new ideas about God they never heard about. Some of them, they're like, oh, I don't want this at all. So, some of them were like, you know what, this is kind of like good, you know. And they be trying, you know. I should pray for many of your friends. And
A lot of them are still trying, so we pray for them.
I have them in my heart, and, you know, in my prayers
The
too.
4 Musketeers.
But to be honest, like, you know, it was so beautiful because God gave me the opportunity to see his love and mercy for this guy.
Same.
And the way that Uriela tried her best to just being faithful to God, you know what I mean? That's beautiful. Taking into one of the worst moments of my life was certainly, like, you know, when you think about, well, let's talk about it spiritual, right? Because, like, the regular life, it was like me living no house, homeless, whatever. But in my spirit, I was like super joyful. I was nowhere at all. Now, my most, bro, that's a grace of God. You know, I haven't had, because, you know, when I met the truth and embraced the truth, after that, I haven't really had like super rock bottom in my spiritual life. But I've had dry moments, you know, in a spiritual movement of the soul. You understand to Saint Ignatius Loyola, there is desolation and consolation. So the whole life,
the rules of the
we're gonna have consolations which is high when you're feeling the best with the Lord and everything's going amazing.
Like right now.
And you're in the high spirit and you can stop talking about the love of God or whatever. Right? And then you hit desolation, which is a dry space for the soul, and also the mind can be there if it's not well formed. Now, the way that I confronted desolation in my life, which has happened a lot, is like I trust what the saints have done, and these saints, if they did that, I'm gonna do the same. What would the saints do? What does Saint Ignacio Loyola, such a great saint which I love, too as well, what he told you to do, and that's what I be doing all my life. In desolation, you don't make big decisions.
Yep.
In desolations, you cannot forget of the mercy and love of God because it's still there.
Yep.
And take this moment to grow more closer to God. Because most of the times when you're going through desolation, 2 things are the factors. Number one, God wanted you to go through that because he loves you so much. He wants you to grow closer to him by so many ways that you never probably experienced before.
Yeah.
Number two, you were lacking in prayer. You were lacking in doing living the sacraments, all this stuff. So you sought that out.
You sometimes does it on purpose for you to grow.
Like, what is going on here to me? Okay, are you doing everything that you should be doing according to what the church, by Jesus' command, sent forth? Yes, okay. Then you know that God is loving you so much that he wants you to go through this desolation, which, by the way, desolation doesn't mean falling into mortal sin. No. Desolation means that these emotions that you feel when you pray, which emotions are good. Depends, there's a balance to it.
Right.
There's emotion that you feel.
Oh, sorry. That was my ring.
What was that?
That was my ring.
My goodness.
Because I went like this.
Anyway, I was so deep into it.
Bro.
This.
I'm so sorry, guys.
This desolation, it is felt because some tracks or some very orthodox people that like, don't worry about feelings. No, feelings are good. You just need to understand the movement of feelings, and you cannot make decisions purely on the emotions of the feelings. So when you pray and you are in consolation, bro, it's like you feel like this huge, like warm in your chest. You feel like this urge to like hug everybody, kiss everybody, be the best of yourself.
Put the world on fire.
Yeah. But when you're in consolation and you're praying, you feel like you're in the desert. Like this is like nothing changes, no feelings, no emotions going through. You just pray and you don't sense anything. And that's what you feel like. You be like, oh, like I don't have this connection with God. But there's small talk. Because God's still there. Now that He's not consolating your heart, consolating your soul, that means that you're growing in maturity. Obviously, you need to know that when you're going through consolation, again, and that's why we finished that part there, do not make big decisions about life. Anything that has to do with discernment about vocation, anything that has to do with important jobs, anything that has to do with dating, with courtship, with engagement, none of this stuff, that's when you need to, when you're in the gym, that you have like a specific times of season that you're like bulking. This is not what desolation times where you need to start bulking on prayer, on fasting, on almsgiving. All the virtues that you ought to practice, that's what you need to push through. And so these desolations that I go through, bro, you know why when I'm going through a desolation, I don't give too much importance to it? Who am I to be bugging God, be like, how dare you make me feel this way or allow me to feel this way?
Wow, that's so.
When we just talked about and we read in the scriptures and by the grace of God through the visions that I've known through Aunt Catalina Emmerich, the depth of suffering and desolation that Jesus went through in the passion, starting by in the agony, when he's at the Gethsemane, he sweat blood, dude. Have you ever sweat blood? Stop whining. If you haven't sweat blood, stop whining.
That's it. Yeah.
Stop whining.
Yeah, humble yourself.
And I could go step by step about the passion. That would be another 30 minutes. I don't want to do that for the sake of this video. But honestly, every time you think you're going through the worst, read the passion and see if you're going through the worst. Let me tell you, there's no worse scenario that any human being, because Jesus is fully God, fully human, all right? It's one person, two natures, divine and human. And let me tell you, no human being has ever suffered and will never suffer what Jesus suffered for us in his passion mostly. And one of the things that the passion just doesn't stop there. Be like, yeah, he suffered for us and that's it. The passion, you can truly live it through the Mass because the Mass is nothing without the passion. The passion is so necessary because of the Mass. And the Mass is so necessary because of the passion. Because it's a living sacrifice, the purest sacrifice for the Lord, that through the Mass, we are living the active, meaning active sacrifice, and we ought to be there under the cross, on the passion, under the cross. That's why when you go to Mass, don't think Mass is to have fun and to receive Jesus. No, you're receiving the according to studies, okay? According to these studies, all Eucharistic miracles that are being tested, like I mentioned a while ago, they all say,
a whole book of healing.
They all say is the flesh of a heart, a tissue of a heart, which means, what does it say to me? Every time receiving the Eucharist, I'm receiving Jesus' heart. Not before the passion, not after the passion. In the passion.
Yep.
On the cross. Think about that, how deep that is. And when you start to appreciate and understand that, trust me, every time you receive the Eucharist, it's going to be so much different. And every time you get out of the Mass, you're going to be so much different. And every time you go through suffering, you're going to say, Jesus, this is nothing compared to what you've been. You know what? I will unite my suffering to you, O Lord.
Yes. The Mass is the passion and the resurrection. And it's
towards
that
the end.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't just, it's like that beauty. And even in that healing journey, it was fascinating as well. When I met you and your sister, and you guys finally told me, oh, there's a lot of Mass in here. I don't have to go to Lady Victory. And I'm like, what? So going to Latin Mass, especially Latin Mass, had part in that passion and that resurrection. The new Mass, what it is now, not what Vatican II said to be, but what it is now is not how is that really the passion? It still is by the doctors and what it is, but it's
the elements are not pointing to that.
Not anymore.
It's basically
the white walls,
it's so
the
difficult
floating
for
Jesus.
They have made it so difficult for the human brain to understand that we're living through the passion.
So difficult. Yes.
But I mean, just look at the elements.
Which is why we've lost almost the youth.
A lot of faith.
More pedophile, more cases, and more everything.
Let me tell you something. I know somebody, I'm not going to mention the name, that a priest asked this guy, hey, can you help me bring more youth? And this guy said, bring tradition back and you'll have more youth. And you know what?
And that's the.
You know what? He got in nowhere after that. He got in nowhere, and that's totally fine. Because at the end of the day, we're gonna force everything. You know, we gotta live the life we got and do whatever we can do the best. But at the end of the day, I'm not demonizing the Novus Ordo. I'm just calling out the fact that
live out Novus Ordo.
If we don't understand the mystery of the sacrifice, living through the Mass, and obviously His resurrection is the three realities, right? Is prior the passion, resurrection. If we don't understand that, and we're just always before the passion and just the resurrection, all happy, that's why even Catholics say, why am I supposed to suffer? God gotta take everything away. Because we created that problem in the spiritual realm. The church created that problem. And I say the church because it has allowed it some way or another, you know what I mean? But to stick to the best news here, keep going.
No, absolutely. And I think, like, that's how we're able to always live our faith to the best, reflecting on the passion. Even though recently I haven't been reflecting on the passion, in a way I have, because thanks to a beautiful friend of mine, Gabby, my girlfriend. This is why.
Go ahead, bro. Keep going. You're good.
My girlfriend.
Shout out, guys. They got red.
There's a lighting.
No.
She bought me this book called Humility Steps, which I need to read. And humility is like the passion. The passion is humility. Especially today, I was reading Silence. Our Lord was silent. Yeah. Our Lord was silent. Like, wow.
He wasn't
and that's there.
Complaining. He wasn't none of that.
And one of my favorite parts of the passion was actually, like, I love the whole passion. I love the whole passion. The scourging, like, wow.
One particular part that
gets to me, right? Yeah. The scourging is like, wow, that's awesome. The Lord has scourged me many times. Yeah. The crown of thorns, wow, there's like that beautiful crown that wasn't so beautiful, but it was meaningful. The carrying of the cross, like you mentioned, that crucifixion there, and the highest throne in the world, the highest point of the world was that cross. And those 7 last words were beautiful. But to me, what actually like, wow, gets to me, or like at least is more embracing, is actually Gethsemane. That low point, I guess, because I also went through that low point, and that's how I met God, was that rock bottom. But He experienced it almost in some exact way. He had no friends. He was by himself, and he was begging to God. He was begging to God in that darkness. in that literal darkness. Maybe as well as Anne Catherine Emmerich or in the movie The Passion, the enemy was there tempting him. He was there. He embraced the darkness. And even an angel was there to guide him. And as you said, did you ever sweat blood? No, stop complaining. But that's why it's
a real natural reaction to extreme stress of the body. Like it can actually happen, but who really goes through that? Barely.
No one.
All right.
Barely. What was? You said your favorite part of the Passion was on the way to Calvary, right?
Yeah.
What's yours, Edwin?
There could be many, but if I have to choose one, it's literally when Jesus said, "Forgive them because they don't know what they do." On the cross, dude, he been through all that, which you mentioned some part of that. You mentioned Gethsemane, the scourging, the thorn, falling 3 times. Like 300 pounds cross, according to archaeologians or whatever. And on top of that cross, dislocated.
Yeah, dislocated.
Arms, not broken because
Messianic wrong.
Yeah, the Messianic
prophecy.
Yeah, dude, at the worst point of suffering in the spiritual too. My goodness, bro. He said, "Forgive them for they don't know what they do." And to me, speak volume into me. Who am I to be judging the hearts of people? If they don't know the truth, how am I going to understand that they're going to make better decisions? Obviously, there's a lot of stuff to deal with sin and the clouding of the reason and logic, all that, and the will. But definitely, that helps me to love people for who they are and not, when I see them, just, despise them. Because, sometimes you get to know some people that is so sinful that there's been part of my life when I'm being, super, spiritual, and my spirit is, say, sensitive for the lack of a better word. And I just get to know somebody, and I just feel this ugly presence, dude, that I just can't stand it. I'd be like, wow. I just start praying for these people. I pray so much for so much conversion, bro.
Oh yeah.
If he did it to me, if he's done it to so many people, I know he can also do it to everybody else that they want to be converted, because it's not a forcing thing. It's not like you must convert or else. No, God is a gentleman. He approached to you, but you gotta say, yeah, let's go, or you church the door, and that's it. And the last one, I guess I tell you there's many, but the last one will be that same part of Gethsemane when I mentioned suffering blood. This business from Anna Catherine Emmerich says and explains that not only he was suffering because of stress, that he knew exactly what will happen to him.
And some will still not convert.
But not just exactly what will happen to them next day and the other day after that, which is the whole Passion, but even up to this moment that you're watching this video right now. The times that you have forsaken him.
Yep.
The times you have sinned against him. The times that people have left religious life. The times that he's being stepped upon and spitted through the Eucharist. The times he's not being loved. That hurts his heart.
The Holocaust, every tragic event, everything, every murder.
That even though he will give his life, many would deceive him. And many would not choose to accept his love and accept the calling. Dude, think about it. Think about you having a son. None of us have our parents yet. But think about it, you having a son. You give these principles to the son. And towards the middle of his life, he says, forget about your principles. They're nothing. And you know they're very good and grounded in faith. Mm-hmm. How disappointed, how heartbroken you will be. Mm-hmm. Imagine Jesus, God, the one that created everything through the Word. He's the Word, right? Incarnated.
He's a perfect love, the perfect wisdom.
He is God, bro. And he died for us because he wants us to be eternal with him. Yeah. And even though he desires that we're so much, look at everything he did for us. And still doing, by the way. And so many of us, even myself, denied him every time I sin more than anything. So think about that, dude. That's why, to me, it's like, bro, there's never enough prayers to console the heart of Jesus. And that's why I will never stop talking about Jesus. They could kill me talking about Jesus. I don't mind it. I mean, I know what I came here for. I already know my purpose. My purpose is to get to heaven. If whatever it takes, I will never stop talking about Jesus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of Edwin's, I remember one of Edwin's youth group, like one of his presentations were about martyrs, and that was one of the youth groups I will never forget.
San Joselito.
San Joselito. We watched the movie.
You watched it? Yeah. Wow.
That was one of the
That's right there.
best. That's one of the best youth group days I've ever had in my life, because I didn't know what a martyr was. I learned that's crazy. I was 17 years old. 17 years old, and I knew about a lot of things that a 17-year-old is not even supposed to know about. And I didn't even know what a martyr was. That's insane.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And then I found out what a martyr was.
Of a 14-year-old.
Yes.
Or a 14-year-old. 14-year-old.
Of a 14-year-old kid dying
Viva Cristo Rey.
for the Lord. And
Your,
it's
it's
crazy.
your hat.
And that
Yeah, your hat.
and
That's
that-
how we have to say in our passion, Viva Cristo Rey.
And that reminded me of something like a talk that I had like recently with a friend of mine.
Hey, sorry. Before,
of course.
Just to make sure.
It's good though.
It's running out of battery. Oh my gosh. It's running out of battery.
Oh, we'll let it close. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
I was. Oh, you ready? Let me know.
Go, continue. Just to finish, wrap it up.
And that reminded me of like something I talked to one of my friends about, like probably like a month ago, 2 months ago. He's like, oh, how do you know? He said, how do you know your God is all loving? You know what I mean? Because he's like agnostic. He's like, how do you know your God is all loving? And like all these other religions, like, you know what I mean? Like Islam and like Buddhism, like how do you know he's all loving? And I just told him one question. I asked him this one question. And because it reminded me of all the passion, it reminded me of the passion and all that stuff. I was like, I asked him just one simple question. What is the highest nature or action of love for you? And he started thinking. He was like, I've never been asked that question in my life. I've never been asked that.
Let's go,
And I
my
told him,
little
like,
disciple right here.
he was like, that's a good question, bro. And he just kept thinking.
Question.
He was like, I don't know. He just kept like he was guessing because like, there's so much things like.
Right, you were answering his question.
Yeah, and I was like, you want to know? And he's like, yeah, just give me a guess. I was like, sacrifice.